Howdy folks, monthly update. We are already into June. 7 days into June. Time is still flying. We're going to go through some stats and things for the month of May. Plus talk a little about Rassie Erasmus and his Twitter account coming up into the news once again. Maybe for the wrong reasons this time. New Zealand Rugby and their Silver Lake deal. They've officially sold their souls, I guess, to an American investment firm. And Glasgow sacked their coach, which is something you think of more with other sports than rugby. It's not that often that coaches get the chop, but what did he get the chop for? But yeah, we'll go through these things and have a wee chat. I'll even give you an update on my son's team with their results. Firstly, stats and thanks for the month of May. Most popular vid was the All Blacks uncapped 15. We've done that for the All Blacks, for the Box, and for the Aussies now. I might have a crack at some of the other countries soonish. I think I've watched enough URC to maybe give the Irish a crack. There's at least 4 teams there. Potentially England as well, seeing as I watch a bit of the Premiership. Other countries I'm not sure if I've watched enough. But yeah, we'll kind of have to see. I do like those kind of uncapped videos to see kind of what the depth is like. Viewers, number 1 is Ireland, then New Zealand, then the UK, then South Africa, then Australia. So kind of the usual 5, but the order sometimes does change around a wee bit. I'm guessing on the back of some pretty solid Leinster performances and a little bit about the upcoming tour of New Zealand. Irish folks are along, so welcome along, folks, as always. 51% of people not subscribed, so I put my YouTuber hat on for a second, which I don't normally do. Like videos, subscribe to videos, please, folks. I don't really like nagging you to do that all the time because it drives me up the wall when other people do it, but I will do it this once. 51% of people not subscribed. Do me a favor and subscribe to the channel. It basically helps, and YouTube's algorithm loves subscriptions and likes and comments and all that kind of jazz. So yeah, much appreciated for you all that do that. Most of you guys also watch websites like Rugby Pass, Super Rugby, the Champions Cup, World Rugby, and the All Blacks channel. So those are the top 5. So kind of unsurprising given the audience of the channel. But yeah, there we go. Also, a quick thanks to the patrons. I do have a Patreon if you guys want to support the channel. Link is down there in the description. Chuck us $1 or $2 if you like the work that goes on the channel. It certainly helps to keep things ticking along here. I need to get myself either a new laptop or a new laptop battery. So if you want to contribute to the laptop battery fund, Patreon down in the description, or buy me a coffee is down there as well. I've also got affiliate agreements with ExpressVPN. If you want to grab a VPN, check out their link in the description. If you want England Rugby Store gear, check out that one. If you want Lions Rugby Store gear, they're still having sales on. Use those links, and then I get a wee bit of commission, and hopefully you guys find yourself a good deal. So happy days for those ones as well. Also, to the people who do support on Patreon already, cheers guys for your continued support. It really literally keeps this channel afloat, especially Michael and Jack, you guys with your monthly support. Really means a heck of a lot. So yeah, cheers everybody. Thank you for watching, subscribing, for supporting you guys financially, man. What else can I say? It's really awesome to do this and to get some of the rugby bents with you all. Right, Rassie, on to Rassie. Rassie has been hacked, if you didn't see that news. Rassie Erasmus, whose Twitter account, to be fair, if you follow it, is it's pretty cutting at times. Like, that guy's got a bit of a sense of humor. He knows how to say stuff kind of in a slightly indirect manner. He can be a wee bit sarcastic about situations. He's a bit of a sharp fellow, and he uses his Twitter not that often, but when he tweets, it's usually something pretty interesting. But apparently his Twitter was hacked because he was tweeting out some porn the other day. And hopefully you guys didn't make the mistake that I made of click and view that sensitive content, because I just saw that Rassie had been in trouble for his Twitter, and I assumed it was Rassie doing Rassie Erasmus things. But nope, it was apparently a hacker who was trying to put Rassie's name through the mud. I don't know. But yeah, Rassie has hopefully got control back of his Twitter account. It seems like the offending post has now been removed, and he can get back to his rugby comments and whatnot, rather than the sideshow that was him getting hacked. So, yeah, I mean, I guess it can happen to anyone. Set up two-factor authentication, maybe, but yeah, not ideal for Rassie to get his account hacked, but it seems like it has been sorted. Not the kind of thing that he wanted to be in the news for. Also, New Zealand Rugby, if you missed it, they did a deal which has recently been approved with the investment firm Silver Lake. A deal which is essentially going to see New Zealand Rugby sell part of itself to this investment firm. I think it's between like 5.7 and 8.5% of New Zealand Rugby is going to be sold to this investment firm for like 200 million New Zealand dollars. So the whole idea being New Zealand Rugby takes that cash injection in and helps fund the game over here, try to get participation numbers a bit up. Some of the money is going to go to the NPC team, so our level below Super Rugby. Some of it's going to go to our Heartland team, so the level below that. Some of it's going to go to local rugby clubs like my son's club, but you're talking $1 million for the NPC teams, 500,000 for the level below that, the Heartland teams, and then you're talking like 10 to 50 grand for the clubs, which I mean in their terms is probably a big chunk of change, but it is just a one-off thing. I'm not sure what my son's local club will be able to do with however much money they get, but hopefully they spend it or invest it wisely, because I can't see them getting much more in the way of cash injections like that. It doesn't seem like there's anything for women's rugby. There's like a legacy fund. There's a bunch of funds they're going to set up, and a lot of it's just going to be a straight cash injection. But yeah, I didn't see anything specifically for women's rugby, which is surprising because that's the one area of New Zealand's game which is growing pretty exponentially. But yeah, there's also the concerns, because the reason New Zealand Rugby wanted to enter this partnership is the argument is Silver Lake has deals with people like Twitter and there was a bunch of other companies that they've got they got fingers in a lot of pies, and that these guys have got the expertise to help New Zealand Rugby take their marketing game and their just their brand to the next level. Maybe they're thinking about like esports, but I'm not sure what you can do with esports with rugby, because there's not like a FIFA or a 2K that's associated with rugby, or maybe like documentaries. Like, I mean, if you saw the South African one after the World Cup, what was it called? It's escaped me right now, but you know the one I mean, or the one about Makamatzola Mapimpi. You've seen there's a big market for rugby documentaries. Chasing the Sun, that was the one. So like there's definitely a market for that kind of thing. Sky in New Zealand has been doing that kind of thing as well, documentary style content, so that could be the kind of thing they look to get into. Maybe fantasy rugby is another thing that's been suggested to try and kind of up their game, but yeah, we will see. It's a little bit disappointing that New Zealand Rugby doesn't do this stuff already to a good level. I'm not sure what they've been doing, but apparently they need some help from this investment firm to get that kind of stuff across the ground. So yeah, we will see what comes of it. Essentially, if New Zealand Rugby doesn't increase its revenue year on year, they're giving away whatever percentage they sold, 5%, 7%, 8%, to this investment firm. So if the revenue stays what it is, they're going to be losing out on the deal, because year on year, that 200, I'm sure, will be kind of small change to what kind of goes out year after year. But anyway, we will wait to see what happens with that one, whether it's worthwhile. And the last one, Glasgow's coach, Danny Wilson, has got the sack. If you don't follow European rugby, he took over after Dave Rennie. When Rennie left for the Wallabies, he's been in charge for a couple of years. And the other day, in their quarter-final, they got beaten 76 points to 14 at Leinster. Now, Leinster, you probably know, even if you don't follow European rugby at all, they're the powerhouse team in the URC, and they're very good in European rugby. Yeah, that they kind of mopped the floor with the Glasgow team. No quarterfinal should be 76 points, should it? So, yeah, he's copped a bit of that backlash for that one. Finished with a 6-10 record in the previous year and an 10-8 record this year. So just snuck in kind of to the playoffs both years, but yeah, a bit of a disappointing result. So he ends his contract by mutual termination or something. So pretty much got the sack. Like I said, it's not something you don't see. You don't see it that much. You see it a lot in like football and other sports, but not really that much in rugby. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see who they line up as a replacement. Which other coaches do you think are under threat of getting the sack? There's probably a few, but we're kind of at the end point of the seasons now, so we may see a few jobs change hands. We already know a few jobs are going to change hands for next year. Lastly, my son's team, the Warriors, they didn't play this weekend just gone because it was a long weekend, but 4 weeks into their season, they are none from 4, so living up to the billing of the Warriors, like the league team here in Auckland, are pretty bad. Worcester Warriors are at the bottom, towards the bottom end of the table in the Premiership, so the Utah Warriors and the MLR didn't have a very good season. They didn't get anywhere near the playoffs. So Warriors for rugby teams doesn't seem to be the best name. And the same is true with my son's team. But they are getting better. In week 1, they got absolutely flogged by the Wolves. And then they played that same team again in round 4. And it was a lot closer. They still lost, but it was a lot closer. So that's kind of good news. And then in the last game, my son, in the game that they also lost, managed to score a try in the last play of the game. So he went down the wing, beat a bunch of tacklers. The defense was pretty poor from the opposition, but he went down the wing and managed to get over the line. So good for him. He's got 2 tries this year. So he's doing all right. Needs to work on his defense a bit, but there we go. So yeah, as I said, thanks guys for coming along. If you want to support the channel, Patreon, buy me a coffee, all those affiliate links. Just liking the videos, subscribing to the videos, all that kind of stuff helps. I won't nag you about that anymore. Cheers as always, and yes, I'll talk to you guys again soon. See you later.